One of the reasons for the Third Reich's defeat in the war was a paradoxical situation. Imagine, 1944, the Eastern Front, with 4 infantry divisions stationed side by side. The 1st Division was part of the Wehrmacht, the 2nd was from the Luftwaffe, the 3rd was from the SS, and the 4th from the Kriegsmarine. The soldiers in these divisions were different. The Wehrmacht division had seasoned, experienced frontline veterans. The Luftwaffe division, known as the Field Air Division, consisted of personnel from airfields. The SS division had the most ideologically motivated soldiers, physically fit and representing the Germanic race. The Kriegsmarine division, known as the Naval Division, was made up of sailors from combat ships. To maximize the effectiveness of these 4 divisions, it would have made sense to place them under a single command and distribute inexperienced and seasoned soldiers equally across units, with experienced frontline officers commanding them. Within a few weeks, the sailors and aviators who survived would learn from their frontline comrades and become effective soldiers. However, this was unacceptable to Himmler, who by the end of the war commanded 43 SS divisions, including armored and motorized ones, as well as 50 Volkssturm divisions. Göring was also vehemently opposed. He commanded over 1 million Luftwaffe personnel, most of whom were idle on rear airfields due to the reduction in combat aircraft by the end of the war. Reluctantly and begrudgingly, he sent 200,000 of them to the front. But he insisted that they remain under his jurisdiction, resulting in the absurd situation of field air divisions composed of former technicians and airfield workers without combat experience. Additionally, Admiral Donit's infantry, made up of naval personnel, came from a fleet that was nearly destroyed, with the few remaining surface ships rarely going to sea due to the overwhelming Allied superiority. All these divisions had their own command, supply systems, communication lines, tactical instructions, and so on. This disorganization inevitably led to disaster. The vaunted German organization turned out to be a myth, manifesting in an overabundance of staff inundating frontline units with a paper storm of orders and directives, which increasingly went ignored by the end of the war. Now, let's look at how these divisions performed in combat conditions. Here are the recollections of German generals about the Waffen-SS divisions. It should be noted that the Deadhead division has high morale, but since SS soldiers and commanders have to learn on the job what Wehrmacht soldiers have long mastered, they suffer unjustifiably high casualties. After 10 days of fighting near Kursk, 3 regiments of the division had to be consolidated into 2. The results of these colossal losses were the capture of 3 insignificant Russian villages in operational terms. And about Donit's sailors. Upon disembarking at a railway station near Leningrad, 3 naval divisions could not form a marching order and reach the positions they were supposed to defend. This was the extreme of chaos. Their commanders simply were not trained for this. They immediately became a burden to the Wehrmacht. And the recollections about Göring's troops. The 201st Field Air Division, retreating in Ukraine, failed to organize any combat security or protect their retreating units with a rear guard. As a result, the division, having barely seen combat, was decimated on the march by the Russians and practically ceased to exist. Additionally, there was intense competition between the SS and the Wehrmacht for recruits, new weapons, ammunition, and supplies. Himmler's and Göring's quartermasters were ready to tear each other apart. Sometimes this competition escalated into open sabotage and scandals between commands. Occasionally, it led to outright arguments, such as between the SS leadership and Göring at Hitler's headquarters. Himmler stubbornly refused to place his troops under Wehrmacht command even when it was critically necessary. Göring, with his destructive desires, did not differ in this regard. Hitler, realizing the futility of attempts to create even the semblance of order, eventually gave up. He could not force his party members to act with common goals and stop the squabbles and conflicts among them until the end of the war. Meanwhile, the horror of total defeat loomed over Germany. For those of us accustomed to thinking that the German war machine was a shining and impeccable force, It is difficult to accept and evaluate the extent of the idiocy of the Reich's top leadership.